Although its textures and resolutions are on the lower end, I think for its time it does a great job when you consider how colorful most of the game is and how fast it runs. It hardly ever stutters. You can seamlessly transform from mecha mode to jet fighter mode. Hello YouTube, today we're talking about Bulk Slash. Now I've seen Bulk Slash around for a while on various YouTube videos myself. It was a Saturn game I always wanted to try, but it was rare and expensive. Years go by and suddenly, amazingly, there's a group that translated the game and dubbed it, which is incredible. So yeah, I had to go check it out. Now, massive credit to the fans that translated this game and took the time to dub it. This is not something you can play normally on a regular unmodded Saturn hardware, so short of having an optical drive emulator or playing on an emulator itself, you may be out of luck. Once you've overcome these obstacles though, you can experience quite a unique game on the Saturn. Remember, it's still available as a regular import from Japan. However, that's rare and expensive. It was once considered a hidden gem, but it's not really hidden anymore. The game looks amazing on the Saturn. Although its textures and resolutions are on the lower end, I think for its time it does a great job when you consider how colorful most of the game is and how fast it runs. It hardly ever stutters. You can seamlessly transform from mecha mode to jet fighter mode. There's a good variety to the design of the bosses, and they are big, imposing, and generally awesome to look at. Some buildings can pop in and out of view due to its limited draw distance when specifically in fighter mode, but that doesn't happen on the ground-based battles. The speed at which you fly around in the fighter mode just contributes to that. It's not a deal breaker, but if you're flying around looking for some landmark building, this might cause issues. But the game doesn't really require that sort of map accuracy, and it's supplemented by directions from the MISS Anime Girl Navigator system. Gameplay is fluid and fun. Like I said, there's an arcade quality to this game that is also exemplified by its lack of a save system. You have to go through the entire game unless you have an emulator with save state. I did not have this luxury, just so you know. In the beginning, you can choose between 3 initial stages and defeat them in order, after which the stage progress is predetermined, from stage 4 to 7. You pilot a variable form mecha that switches between a jet fighter mode and robot mode, kinda like the Valkyries in Macross. It is a shooting game that mostly prioritizes finding targets in the stage and destroying them prior to the boss appearing at the end of the mission, once the objectives have been met. There are a few stages where it's a different variation of this gameplay, like one where there is an escort quest to protect the ship before its takeoff, and another where you have to plant mines at a enemy space fleet. These are challenging but still very familiar gameplay-wise. So this is awesome so far, but the controls do take some getting used to. Sometimes overshooting where you're going can happen if you don't control the speed of your fighter mode, and having to turn in this flight simulation can get a little confusing. You have access to various weapon power-ups, but the standard default weaponry is also quite numerous. In short distance attacks, you automatically use a laser sword and a standard Vulcan shot for range attacks, which you can also switch to a grenade weapon based on the timing of your button presses. In fighter mode, you get a multiple heat-seeking missile barrage you can use to lock onto an enemy that charges over time if you're not firing the default Vulcan shot. It's quite fun to play all these options in your arsenal, but there is a gripe where fighting the various big bosses of the stage essentially is a strafing run around them and trying to lock on while dodging their attacks. I would think it's almost impossible to do these boss battles just using the default Vulcan shot, and locking on with the missile barrage is pretty mandatory. There are some bosses that are on the ground so you can use the laser sword against them, but many boss fights are flight simulation style aerial dogfight battles. Another fun aspect of the game is finding and collecting the different MIS system navigators. In each stage you can grab a new personnel to help you navigate the stages. They will direct you with their voice as to the direction of the target and tell you whether you're doing well or just plain sucking at the game. The MIS system Navigators help with the lack of a good map system, as you really just have an enemy radar to go with in the game. With the variety of voice acting in play here, it's amusing to hear the different types of co-pilot you can get. And I'll say again, I really dig the voice acting of the dub here. It's excellent in my opinion. All the sound is nice and catchy between the different background tracks, and some sound like it's straight from an older mecha anime, especially the track that kicks in when you're on the last target of the stage. I think all the sound effects work really well, so I really enjoyed the overall sound design for the game. To me, Bulk Slash is a 9. It's one of the best looking Saturn games. It's very fun, short burst arcade style content with a heavy dose of anime flavor. This is an impression of playing a game which is partly an easy early 3D third person shooter with a dose of Star Fox Flight Simulator. If that interests you, then it's an easy recommendation. It's not without its faults, and the boss battles and stages can start to play out the same way strategy-wise, and the controls aren't the most intuitive, but I dig how this game is just greater than the sum of its parts. Plus, I'm kinda biased here, 90s anime mecha, given all that, I think that it's just right up my alley. So, thanks for watching, and talk to you guys later.